think it's going to ask you to continue.
Me?
Mhm.
Continue. Continue.
Hi, thanks for joining me and doing this as a favor and getting to experience a little bit of what I've been learning. And before we get started, I want to ask you, do I have consent to record this and submit it as my test out for my project?
Yes, you do.
Okay, great. Okay, so I'm just going to go through it. I'm, as you know, Lenore, and I've been studying to be a wellness coach and for the board certification of NBCHWC, which is a board certification for health and well-being coaches. And I sent you something yesterday to kind of give you an overview of our framework that we work from within. And yes, and those are what in this framework or model, what I'm learning we refer to as the koshas of well-being. And the koshas are kind of aligned with the chakras for the different pieces of well-being and where those like energy sources are aligned. Where the most exterior is the physical, all the way into the core and the center, which is the emotional. So did you have a chance to look that over?
I did.
Good. So just starting from there, is there any place that comes to mind for you or an area that you would like to talk about today?
I mean, area of need?
Area, yeah, which kosha or which one of the rainbow stripes might be coming up for you? Something that, go ahead.
Emotional?
You're emotional?
Yeah, within the emotional area.
Okay.
Most of them are, I feel okay, and most of them emotional. I feel like I need work and secondary purpose. Can you, can I time out for a second? I want to put this up higher.
Yeah, just go ahead and fix it on the
box.
that roll. But this is definitely natural. No, it's all positive. Okay, well, first I want to assure you that you're in this space is for you. I'm here to listen to you and support you and help you understand what you're feeling, as well as move forward towards any positive change. And it's a safe space, no judgment, no criticism. So whatever you share with me, I want you to know that that's the environment that we're in. And so I was hearing you saying that what you're most feeling kind of awakened to right now is your emotional well-being, and then secondarily your purpose. So would you like to start talking about your emotional well-being and what's going on with you there?
I just still have a lot of anxiety. It's been an issue I've been dealing with for many years now. I've tried a lot of other interventions, and I'm interested in trying something new.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit more about what you've tried in the past.
I've been seeing a therapist. I saw a psychiatrist. I'm on medication. I try to exercise. I go outside and get fresh air and sunshine. It's been hard to maintain social contacts during the shutdown, the COVID shutdown, but when times are normal, I try to maintain an active social circle.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and that helps with your anxiety, or has in the past?
Mm-hmm.
Being social. Okay, so are you feeling anxious at all right now in your body?
Yeah, a little bit in my stomach.
Okay, so would you be open to doing a little breath work with me to see if we can tone that down a little bit before we move forward?
What kind of work? Breath work?
Breath work. Mm-hmm. So we'll do what's called lunar breathing, and that's when we hold the inhales a little longer than the exhales. And that's a calming breath. So just close your eyes. Can I do a couple of shoulder rolls? I invite you to, if that feels good. Forward.
I feel bones popping.
That's good. You release some tension. Yeah, stretch whatever feels good. Feel any tightness, just kind of wiggle it out a little bit. Okay. Maybe put your hands over your abdomen, wherever you're kind of feeling that physical anxiety. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels good to you. And then we're going to just take a few inhales and exhales. So deep inhale in, exhale out. Inhale in, exhale out. Inhale in and exhale out. And now I want to invite you to add a little bit of layer, going to where we want to go with the pace of inner peace. So on the inhale, I invite you to think or say to yourself, I'm inhaling inner peace and I'm exhaling anxiety.
Inhaling therapy.
And inhale inner peace.
Anxiety.
Exhale that anxious physical feeling in your body, that pain in your stomach, those wiggles, the fear of it resurfacing every time you exhale. Just let that all the way out, almost even to the point of maybe it feels like a cough coming out. And then inhale the breath of inner light, peace, and calm. Exhale. Do this a few more times. And really breathe out all that angst. And when you feel good and like you're ready to join me and open your eyes, I invite you to do that. How do you feel now? Has anything changed? The
A little more
same?
relaxed. Yeah, a little better.
So, can you remember a time or in the recent past or not too distant past when you didn't have this ongoing feeling of anxiety within you?
Mm. Specific situation. It could just be for a moment or what? A period of time.
Or whatever arises for you. I was thinking of a time frame where you felt like you had more of an abundance of inner peace.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since I've had that feeling. It's been a pretty chronic situation for years.
Well, I invite you to dig into your recollection, and that might be a good way to reset a familiarity with feeling that peaceful. So I'll just be silent for a moment and see if you can scan your body and your mind for that time. What came up
Mhm.
for you?
Yeah, when I had to go back till I felt like that peaceful feeling for a period of time, not just fleetingly.
Mm-hmm.
Probably went back to before I retired.
Okay. Where you felt that um, when you were still working. Very interesting. And what about that time do you think contributed to that feeling of peace?
Probably a sense of purpose related to my second issue.
I had that same kind of intuitive feeling. They might be interrelated if that's the last time you felt that. I guess another question I might want to inquire about is when the anxiety starts to bubble up, is there a specific experience or thought that you're having that kind of triggers the anxiety, or does it feel like it's there all the time, or how are you experiencing it?
I think I always have at least some low grade level of anxiety,
Hmm.
and it flares up with interpersonal conflicts.
Mm, I understand. That makes sense. Um, so when you think back to the time before you retired, and you had the kind of this prolonged sense of well-being or inner peace, were you still experiencing an interpersonal conflict, or was that not a piece or a prevalent piece of that time too?
I think it wasn't a prevalent piece. There are a lot, maybe wasn't a prevalent piece because why? Um, Everybody was absorbed with other activities, I guess. Less opportunity for conflict, fewer expectations, clearer roles and boundaries.
Hmm. So what I'm hearing is that possible aggravators of this anxiety are interpersonal conflict, maybe lack of focus, purpose,
Or
and
structure, maybe
um,
something like that.
having less things to keep your mind busy with other things as well. That's kind of what I'm picking up in that time. So I just want to check in and see how you feel about kind of these things. Does it seem like a little bit of clarity, or on the right track of where it may be coming from?
I think we're on the right track. I've been doing a lot of work in this area, so I think the clarity has been slowly evolving.
Hmm. That's good. Well, I want to just uh, commend you for number one, just being very proactive in your own finding your own solutions, not only by coming here, but also by trying all the different things and when not finding the answer, still seeking. So that's outstanding. You know, you can see that there's self-care and self-love for yourself, and it's good. Step in the right direction. And I think that we could only,
Working on prioritizing that even more.
good. How are you doing that?
I think I'm making progress.
Do you have any for instances?
I mean, what?
For instances?
Uh, yeah, instead of putting myself last, I'm trying to put myself first and decide what I want for myself.
Hmm. That makes sense. So we kind of have a model of well-being. We call it the three S's that make it easy to absorb, understand, where we make a commitment to do self-care daily, um, services monthly, and social support weekly. What can you implement into this structure for yourself on a daily basis where you're giving yourself some self-care? And that could be anything from, you know, spending a little bit longer time in the bathroom to going for a walk or whatever it means for you. But what might you be able to do in this context to care for yourself on a daily basis?
Well, I've been paying more attention to my grooming and fashion.
Oh, I
That
can
makes
see that
me
makes sense to
happy.
me. Yes, I could tell by how you lit up when you said, and you know, they don't call you glammy for nothing.
And I started thinking about the things I used to do as a teenager that I used to like, my my hobbies and activities, and and all those things that I did before I worked full time and had a family and to dedicate my life to everybody else. I've gone back to those things because I always liked those things. I just never had time for them anymore.
That's fantastic. So those are good daily things to revisit. And sidebar, that's interesting that you said that because in my life purpose coaching, that's one of the exercises going back to when I was 16. What did I like? What was I into before, you know, societal norms and responsibility kind of swept us all away? What were the things that you were attracted to?
Mhm.
So, what are some of those things that you're able to engage with now?
Sewing, crocheting, a lot of crafting, trying to pick up my art skills again, painting and drawing, gardening. Um, I'm trying to get back into my water aerobics. The pools have opened again. In fact, I was going to call this morning and see what the guidelines are. Um, and then just socializing.
Mm, mhm. And that socializing comes in to play with the second S of social support. So that's something. What could you do to re-engage socially on a weekly basis that would help um, calm your anxiety or nurture that part of your wellness?
Well, I'm already doing it now that the world's opening up. I started going back to my sewing circle. Before I would only pop in for about an hour or so, but now I'm trying to go for the full 4 hours because I need to get the
Wow.
heck out of here.
Mhm.
And I know the ladies better, and we have more experiences that we've shared, and now I'm trying to be more active in the women's club and the garden club. I've taken on responsibilities that's going to force me to stay involved, like membership chair and secretary.
Some accountability that will kind of help you maintain the weekly commitment.
Contact and the regularity and that, and then and I'm just reaching out to other people that I've done things with over the years since I moved here, see what's happening with them and what's up with their activities.
Hmm.
And then my housekeeper and I are going to take a hiking class with
Ooh,
adult education. They're not
awesome.
free. They're not free in unincorporated, but it's not real expensive.
That sounds fantastic.
Uh,
Um, Science shows nature is a big soother of anxiety and elevating good feelings. So that is another super positive move that you're making. And then,
Right.
yeah, you're doing leaps and bounds. And then, as far as services, what might you be able to leverage on maybe a monthly basis to help in this area of wellness?
Well, services, I've always been overloaded on services. I dedicated my life to being a service provider, and I
No,
completely.
but we're talking about services for you. So you mentioned previously that you're seeing a therapist
Oh,
um,
for me, yeah,
for
I'm seeing
you.
a therapist. I'm going to acupuncture for another health issue.
Mhm.
I'm getting some diagnostic work done to make sure issues in my neck aren't there. Or there isn't anything that they haven't detected. They're doing it more refined imaging, but I don't have the same pain I did when I first started asking for um, diagnosis in this area. But still, it's not. It feels like something other than, to me, arthritis in my neck. But anyway, it'd be worth checking it out. So I got that pending. Um, I'm planning on going away for. I wanted 6 weeks, but when but I have to coordinate around other social activities. So
Which is
I'm
also part of your wellness plan.
what
That's also part of your wellness plan. Well, I want to ask you this. If you felt like maybe the psychiatry and therapy really delivering you the results in your anxiety realm, what other service might you be able to use to help, bring you inner peace? You mentioned acupuncture, but the points are very specific. So would you be open to adding the points that specifically address the anxieties or the meridians connected to like anxiety or anything else that you can think of?
Well, I don't know what that would entail, but I'm open to suggestions. Um, Services like, well, you said other than psychiatry, because I'm trying to get into a uh, behavioral behavioral services, behavioral therapy. What is it called?
Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT.
It's a group through Kaiser for anxiety. The nurse at the acupuncture place, we were talking, just chatting during the 30 minutes I'm sitting there. And the issue of anxiety came up, and she said she had two children who had cancer. And during that period of time, she was very anxious, and she went to an anxiety group therapy at Kaiser, and that it was very helpful for her, and it changed something in her brain so she can reframe the situations that give her anxiety. So it sounded like maybe I'm ready for a group. I wouldn't have wanted to do a group earlier when I was having panic attacks. But I think I've talked through enough of my stuff now where I need some behavioral tools to just cut it off. I'm
Hmm.
willing to try that.
Hmm. Well, all of that sounds very promising. And again, awesome, discovery for different resources that you have in all three of the S's: self-care, services, and social. And it sounds like this group could be kind of a hybrid of social and services. Um,
Yeah, right. Didn't
so
think of it that way,
could
but you're right.
solve a couple things since the social seems to alleviate anxiety. Um, Moving forward, like if we have like a mini action plan of what you could be doing this week to tend to this piece of your wellness, um, what would you say that your mini action plan for the week to come would be as far as self-care?
Already, number one, top of the list, get back to the pool and see about using either getting into the class, the water aerobics class, or what the guidelines are for signing up for pool time.
Okay, so that's self-care, and that for social,
Keep going to my sewing group.
right? And now you're doing a little extended stay. That's what I heard when we discussed earlier. Versus an hour, you're going to stay longer.
Oh, I'm going to cover the full 4 hours. Yeah. So that's 2 hours of sewing. Then we have a 1 hour break for lunch, and then finish up the last hour.
And
But
then for
yeah,
services,
that's up where everybody chats.
you don't necessarily have to accomplish this in the next week, but for a monthly goal for services, what would be your mini action plan step?
I'm looking into the anxiety group.
Okay, that sounds fantastic. Plan of action and so proactive. And I love that, you're not just redoing the same things. Lots of times people will try the same things over and over and expect different results. So implementing both things that have made you feel good in the past, as well as new things that you're open to exploring, are extremely promising. So how are you feeling now in your body after talking about what we've talked about today?
I have anxiety in my stomach, and I feel optimistic that I'm going to do more things in the right direction.
Yay, that makes me feel happy. You can see it even from just the beginning of our conversation to now, a different expression on your face. And so that feels good. How
Less
does it feel for
tension.
you? Mm-hmm. It goes from more neutral to more smiling features. And then I wanted to talk a little bit, recap some of the tools that we've kind of developed or used in this session that you could use at any time when you start to feel anxious moving forward. And this is kind of mini behavioral cognitive behavioral strategy is number one, as an anchor to calmness, whenever you start to feel anxious, if it sounds something like could work for you, I recommend that you might recall that peaceful time in your life and really go there and visualize how you felt and visualize that time, close your eyes and really get back to that place where you feel the inner peace. And that's what we call an anchor. So it takes you back to that physiology of that time. So it kind of just hijacks the other physiology that's wanting to run away, the tightness in your stomach and, the shorter breathing of anxiety, by taking your brain back to that place and visualizing as much as you can of that feeling, space and time where you felt well in this area of wellness. And secondarily, um, things like interpersonal conflict are just going to happen in life sometimes. But another thing that you're able to do if it feels good to you is just when you start to have that anxiety being triggered in these instances, use the breath to calm yourself. Just notice the trigger when it's happening, disengage briefly, just maybe do 5 breaths where you inhale peace and calm, exhale the anxiety. Peace and calm, exhale the anxiety. And the last thing I wanted to just bring up is your fantastically impressive like self-efficacy in taking care of things and solution finding. And that seems, having known you for a long time, one of your superpowers. And so
What's my superpower?
your efficacy,
Oh.
your efficacy and your solution finding, and you're not thwarted by non-success. And that is good. You're highly capable. And so I invite you to remember that when you're facing these issues too. Sounds good. Good. Is there anything else you want to talk about now? This is coming towards the end of our session, but
I know, I liked it.
tell me more about that.
Good
What do you like
session.
about it?
Tell me more. It's a good session, easy to talk to you, didn't feel threatened, it didn't escalate my anxiety. That would have been the worst thing.
Good. Okay, well, thank you today. And then we can talk about, how it went with you this week, and see what kind of shifts it made or did it make, and just revisit it then.
We're gonna
Sound
meet
good?
again? Are we
We
gonna
can.
meet again?
We can. We certainly can. I need hours. So, okay, for now, I'm going to stop the recording.
All right.
Okay.